Kenneth Noye is a name synonymous with crime and controversy in the United Kingdom. His life has been a labyrinth of audacious criminal endeavours, high-profile legal battles, and sensational headlines. Rising from humble beginnings, Noye climbed to prominence through his involvement in organised crime, only to see his empire unravel in the face of determined law enforcement. Welcome back to Crime Chronicles. Today we take a look at Kenneth Noye, a violent, old-school thug whose life of crime began while he was still in school. He has spent long stretches of his life behind bars and had countless thousands of column inches written about his criminal exploits. Stay tuned to find out why this slippery character was a constant thorn in the side of law enforcement. His complex relationship with the police and high society may shock you. Kenneth James Noye was born on May 24th of 1947 in Bexley Heath, Kent. His early years were marked by a modest middle-class upbringing, with his father running a post office and his mother managing a dog racing track. However, even as a young man, Noye exhibited a cunning intellect and an appetite for wealth. He was a bully at high school and ran a protection racket with other pupils. Noye would eventually leave school at 15 and spend a year in Borstal for stealing bicycles and committing other crimes. These early criminal traits would later underpin his life in the criminal underworld. After leaving school, Noye dabbled in various trades, including working as a car salesman. However, it was during the 1970s that he began establishing connections in the criminal world. Noye initially engaged in small-scale theft and fraud, but quickly graduated to more sophisticated schemes. His charm and shrewdness earned him a reputation as a man who could get things done. During this time, Noye was hiding a dark secret from his criminal counterparts. He was a police informant. He had built relationships with corrupt officers after being arrested for receiving stolen goods in 1977. He would become further entrenched with the upper echelons of law enforcement when he became a Freemason in 1980, after being proposed by police officers he knew. At the time, the Freemasons were populated by many police, lawyers, judges, and politicians. During this period, friendly police contacts ensured customs officers would turn a blind eye to Noye's haulage business, and he regularly gave the police tip-offs that would target his criminal competition. The turning point in Noye's criminal career came in 1983, with his involvement in the Mat robbery. This infamous heist saw a gang of thieves steal £26 million worth of gold bullion, diamonds, and cash from a warehouse near Heathrow Airport. Although Noye was not among the robbers who carried out the raid, he played a pivotal role in laundering the stolen gold. Using his connections and expertise, Noye smelted the gold, mixing it with copper to disguise its origins. The operation required meticulous planning and execution, and Noye was adept at navigating the complexities of the black market. Despite his efforts to cover his tracks, law enforcement began closing in. In January of 1985, Noye's involvement in the Mat affair took a darker turn. John Fordham, an undercover police officer, was staking out Noye's home in Kent as part of the investigation. Suspecting Fordham of being a threat, Noye confronted him. The encounter turned violent, and Noye stabbed Fordham to death. At his trial, Noye claimed self-defense, arguing that he feared for his life. A jury acquitted him of murder, but the incident underscored the lengths to which Noye was willing to go to protect his interests. Despite his acquittal, the Mat investigation continued, and Noye's legal troubles were far from over. In 1986, Noye's role in the Mat operation caught up with him. He was convicted of handling stolen gold and tax evasion, and sentenced to 14 years in prison. After his conviction in court, Noye shouted to the jury, "I hope you all die of cancer." The trial revealed the elaborate methods Noye had employed to launder the gold and evade detection. His conviction marked a significant victory for law enforcement, but it also burnished Noye's reputation as a formidable figure in the criminal world. While in prison, Noye maintained his influence, forging alliances with other inmates and ensuring his continued relevance in the underworld. He was released on license in 1994, ostensibly to lead a quiet life. However, Noye's violent tendencies would soon lead him back into the spotlight. In May of 1996, Noye was involved in a tragic road rage incident that would seal his infamy. On a slip road of the M25 motorway, Noye's vehicle collided with that of 21-year-old Stephen Cameron. An argument ensued, during which Noye pulled out a 9-inch knife and fatally stabbed Cameron. The crime shocked the nation and set off an international manhunt for Noye after he fled the country. For 2 years, Noye evaded capture, living under assumed identities in Spain. His ability to elude authorities demonstrated both his resourcefulness and the extent of his criminal network. However, in 1998, Spanish police, acting on a tip-off, arrested him in a resort town after secretly flying Stephen Cameron's girlfriend out to identify him. After a prolonged extradition battle, he was returned to the UK to stand trial. In 2000, Noye was convicted of Cameron's murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. The trial painted a damning picture of a man who resorted to violence without hesitation. Parole boards would later hear about his readiness to carry and use weapons, how he was not able to resolve arguments reasonably at key moments, and that he did not always control extreme emotions well. The verdict brought some measure of closure to Cameron's grieving family and reaffirmed the resolve of law enforcement to bring dangerous criminals to justice. During his time in prison, Noye's case continued to attract public attention. Some saw him as a symbol of unchecked criminality, while others viewed him as a man whose intelligence and ambition had been misdirected. Noye's life became the subject of documentaries, books, and media speculation, cementing his status as a notorious figure in British criminal history. In 2019, at age 72, after serving nearly 20 years, Noye was released from prison on parole. His release was met with widespread controversy, with critics arguing that his violent past made him a continuing threat to society. Noye, for his part, claimed to have reformed and expressed a desire to live a quiet life away from the public eye. Despite his assurances, Noye's legacy remains inextricably linked to his life of crime. He is remembered as a master manipulator, a man who exploited his intelligence and charisma for personal gain. His story continues to fascinate and appall, offering lessons on the consequences of a life lived on the wrong side of the law. Thank you for joining us today on Crime Chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends.